So we're going to do a simple subdivision modeling test where we turn a single line of polygon quads and we add another level of detail in there. So we see here we can turn this one so that it moves in here while maintaining quad topology. Over here we're going to turn two lines into a second layer of detail within that while maintaining quad topology, and here we're going to turn in three. So let's go to Maya. I'm going to start off with my polygon plane, and the settings I'm going to use are here: width of 2, height of 3, subdivisions 3, height divisions 5, and that's just for our simple tutorial. So let's follow this one, create. Alright, now I want a couple of these. I'm going to have like three, one for each of these. So I'm going to duplicate them, Command D, something like this. Turn on wireframe unshaded so that's easy to see. And let's start off with these faces. I'm going to turn this row of faces into a second level of detail group. So I'm going to just grab these three, and the thing I'm going to start with is extrude. If you have basic settings here, I'll just reset it, and I'm going to go to offset, and I'm going to pull it in. So very simple, and I press enter, and that's done. And now I have this extra layer. When I press 3 and I turn on subdivisions, you'll see here it kind of has a little rounding out over here, and we have nice and beautiful topology. Now I'm going to turn the two polygon columns, these two columns. Just going to select these ones, and basically it's exactly the same thing. Extrude and bring it in. You can go in here, offset. I didn't need to redo it, just for you guys. And I'm going to use the scale tool to kind of bring it in a little bit more. Alright, and I press enter. Maybe let's move it to object mode, press 3, and you'll see here now we have another layer, taking these two lines and adding in some detail right here. Now you'll see here that I've kind of brought it in a little bit, so let's kind of go in here, vertex, grab these guys. We're just going to use the scale tool to bring it here and bring it in a bit, make it more round. When I press 3, I can make it a little more round. Okay. Something like this. Object mode, that's done. You can't do that here because I don't have enough topology. I don't have enough resolution. Now, for this one, we're going to use a different method. We could use the extrude method, but then we'd have to do a lot of fixing. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab these guys, and I'm going to press bevel. So now bevel inputs this right here. This set 1, 2, 3. We have 1, 2, 3. See, this one only has 2. This has 3. While maintaining nice topology. You might want to kind of. You see that it's a little different here. I'm going to just keep it like this. This is fine. Press 3, and I have a similar kind of nice smoothing that goes on. Alright, so I'm going to do something a little in addition to this. So that was a test. That was how we can get added detail to a single column of polygon quads, 2 columns of polygon quads, and 3 columns of polygon quads. But I'm going to do something a little bit more. I'm going to add these together. So I'm going to change my pivot point, and I'm going to snap. So to change the pivot point, you can press the D button. You can go D, and if I want to snap, I can press V. So V for Valhalla. Alright, and that snaps my pivot point. So now my rotation angle would be around here. I'll do the same thing for this. dv, just go like this, dv. I'm just going to put those. Now I move back to translate and I press V. V is snap, and it snaps here and it snaps here. So now I have all these three layers all together. What I can do is I want to put them and connect them. Right now there's three separate pieces. If I go to my outliner, you'll see a polygon 1, 2, 3, but I actually just want them all to be together. So I'm going to grab them, and in polygons I'm going to go to mesh, combine, boom. So now instead of being all these different planes, it's one plane. And you'll see that it has these groups right here. This is history. If we don't want that, we can go here, edit, delete history. So that disappears. And sometimes when we're ready to finish a model, that's when we delete history. If you do it too early, you might be getting rid of important information. And we can talk about that in another tutorial. So we're going to duplicate this one more time. Alright, but before we do that, let's look at something. When I grab here, these vertices are not in the same place. So using display, heads-up display poly count, I can see how many faces. I have 71 faces in this, and I have a certain number of, I have 98 vertices. Now in this case, I want to make these 12 vertices that I've just selected, because it's 6 but for 2 objects, and another 12, so 24. I want to merge those together so that they're not separate like this. If I press 3, you see what happens. Alright, so I want to put these together. Okay, and I do that by going to Polygon, Edit Mesh, Merge Components. So the 24 just merged, so these two merged into one, and now there's 6 and 6 and 12. Alright, I'm going to duplicate this and move it over here. And I'm going to combine these guys again. And you'll see here, it keeps the history. Alright, and what do I need to do? I need to take these 12 vertices and merge them one more time. Okay, now that's pretty good. I'm going to turn this into a cylinder. So I'm going to do something a little different. I'm moving from polygons into something new, which is called animation, create deformers, nonlinear deformers. So there's lots of different ways to deform your polygonal mesh using animation deformers, but sometimes we want to use these just for our modeling. So I'm going to go to the bend tool, and you'll see here this bend tool is right in the middle, and it's up and down. That's kind of not exactly how I want to do it. Now the bend tool has a bunch of inputs that I need to deal with. I'm going to go select it, and in the channel box come down and bend. And this is the history. So if I delete history right now, I'm going to have some problems. And I'm going to turn low bound to 0. That turns off the bottom. High bound to 2. Like that. Okay? And I'm going to move this pressing V so that it is snapped to vertices. Move it here. Alright? So it's exactly on that vertices. Now I'm going to move this pivot point to be exactly in the same spot. And I want to move this so that it's flush with that. And you'll see here, it takes -90 to move it up like that. Alright? So now, if I go to the bend tool again, and you'll see all this history here, I just need the bend. I can curve this exactly 180, and I have created a cylinder. Okay? Created a cylinder. Now, I can do a couple of things. if I move it now, like this, you'll see that it warps. So I can just duplicate it, and that automatically gets rid of all the history. So now I have this one here, and I might want to maybe center my pivot and rotate it 90 degrees like this. So it's a nice cylinder. If I want, I could just delete this. I don't need it anymore. Now what you'll notice is this is black and this is gray inside. This is Macintosh and Maya not being friends. It's basically the viewport 2.0 is not always the best of friends to Macintosh. So I can go here, it doesn't do anything. But if I go back to the legacy viewport, that can do something. Could also say use flat lighting, which actually only works in viewport 2.0, and we can then get rid of all of those problems, and that's fine because because I have on wireframe shading. Maybe that's easier. Okay. If I want to go back, I can turn that off. Use default lighting. The other thing I could do if I want to stay between in viewport 2.0 and I want to move between shaded and use flat lighting is I can go back to my polygons here, normals, and reverse my, I should select it first, normals, reverse my normals, and that puts the black inside and has the gray on the outside. Makes it difficult to see in the inside, but that's okay. Something like this. Alright, so now I press 3 and I have this nice cylinder. But why do we want to maintain proper topology? Let's go back to our tools and let's look at this one right here. And let's say we're going to turn this into a tower, and even though it has a lot of weird different windows, let's say this is a window in a tower, like a castle tower, and I extrude it in. Let's move it this way, and it goes in. I could delete that later on, and I have this tower with like a slit that I could shoot an arrow out of or something like this. So I press enter, and I press 3, and it looks fine. I'll turn off wireframe. It looks fine, but it's really smooth. It's not really what I want. What if I wanted to make this sharper? So by maintaining proper topology, I can add extra geometry very easily. I can go to the multi-cut tool, which is a tool that adds extra lines. You can just cut around like this, and that would add more geometry to it. I don't actually want that. But I can press in Mac, I can press the control button, and this automatically will create an edge loop. So this is nice. So if I want to add in extra geometry to my model, I can press control and it will, and you see here for this way it's creating a nice round edge loop around my window. I go here and I have to roll over the actual edge that I'm going to cut. So if I want to put one down the middle, I can, or I can go here. So let's press 3, and you see it's a little bit sharper. Okay, and let's say I wanted to put one here too. I press 3 and enter. Let's go to object mode, and you see much sharper this way than it was previously. Alright. So using the multi-cut tool, I can add in some sharpness, and it's easy because I've maintained proper topology. Alright.